Pirates drank vinegar, paid workers' comp for lost limbs, and flew flags with giant penises on them. Real, documented history. For the next 30 minutes, we're going through 32 of the absolute dumbest, weirdest, and most embarrassing moments in pirate history that your teacher definitely never mentioned. Some of these will make you laugh. Others will make you wonder how these people survived at all. 1. Some pirate flags featured straight-up male genitalia. No, really, this actually happened. Think the skull and crossbones was peak intimidation? Amateur hour. Certain pirate captains, operating on a wavelength the rest of us can only marvel at, decided that nothing projected raw terror quite like an enormous, crudely sketched phallus waving majestically in the wind. We're talking banners so obscene they could scandalize an entire port from half a mile away. Historical records actually document these things. Was this some next-level psychological warfare designed to shock enemies into submission? Or did some absolutely hammered deckhand just grab a brush and let his imagination run wild with zero adult supervision? Whatever the reasoning, it proves these guys never even heard the word restraint. When they said flying your true colors, they meant it in the most literal, anatomically explicit way possible. 2. Gold. Was nice, but pirates went absolutely feral over cheese. Yeah, cheese. Sure, doubloons sparkle and jewels are pretty, but if you really wanted to see a pirate crew lose their collective minds, you just needed a merchant ship hauling dairy products. Months of gnawing on rock-hard biscuits and meat so salty it could preserve a mummy will do that to a man. A decent wheel of Gouda or some aged Parmesan? That was the real treasure. Forget burying chests of gold on remote islands. Picture instead some notorious buccaneer, covered in scars and missing several teeth, absolutely weeping with joy at the discovery of camembert in the cargo hold. Their treasure maps should have had a wedge of cheddar instead of an X. Completely deranged dietary priorities, but honestly, after enough hardtack, who could blame them? 3. Calico Jack Rackham. More famous for his ridiculous wardrobe than any actual pirating. Let me introduce you to Calico Jack, a man whose fashion crimes were far more notable than any crimes on the high seas. This absolute peacock earned his nickname by strutting around in bright, flashy calico fabric like he was headlining a very confused Caribbean runway show. His actual piracy resume? Embarrassingly thin. His main claim to fame is that Anne Bonny and Mary Red sailed with him. Two women who were probably doing all the real work while Jack was adjusting his outfit in a mirror. He also designed a flag that became way more iconic than anything he ever accomplished. The man was essentially a walking wardrobe malfunction who somehow stumbled into a pirate career. Style over substance taken to tragic extremes. 4. Pirate democracy. Was real. Crews could vote their captains out, possibly even mid-combat. Forget the tyrannical captain ruling his ship with an iron fist and absolute authority. Tons of pirate crews ran on a surprisingly democratic system where captains were elected by popular vote and could be removed just as easily if they underperformed. The concept of pirate performance reviews is absolutely hilarious. Captain Grimshaw, your raid success rate has dropped significantly, crew morale is in the gutter, and frankly, your motivational speeches need work. We're promoting One Thumb Pete. Can you imagine the workplace politics? Were there campaign promises? Debate nights? What about deposing a captain during an actual battle? Sorry to interrupt your sword fight, sir, but we just held an emergency vote and you're out. Hand over the hat. The sheer organizational chaos is magnificent. 5. That eye patch? Not a battle wound. It was basically primitive night vision technology. Here's something that'll blow your mind. The iconic pirate eye patch wasn't always covering an empty socket or gnarly scar. Many pirates wore one specifically to keep one eye permanently adjusted to darkness. When they needed to charge below deck where it was pitch black, they'd flip the patch over and boom, instant ability to see in the dark. Clever, right? Also completely ridiculous in practice. Imagine trying to remember your designated dark eye while dodging musket fire and swinging cutlasses. Wait, left eye for raiding, right eye for… Oh no, incoming. You just know dozens of them spent their careers smashing face first into walls and tripping over barrels because they switched to the wrong eye. Brilliant theory, chaotic execution. 6. Legendary pirate shore parties that always ended in hangovers, empty pockets, and prison cells. When pirates made landfall after a profitable voyage with pockets full of plunder, fiscal responsibility was not on the agenda. They threw ragers of such legendary magnitude that ancient Roman emperors would have taken notes. We're talking rivers of rum, mountains of food, gambling dens, houses of ill repute, and complete moral abandonment lasting days on end. The inevitable result? Waking up a week later with skulls pounding, wallets mysteriously empty because tavern keepers, working girls, or fellow pirates had relieved them of everything, and often in chains because the authorities had simply waited for them to drink themselves unconscious. Their talent for burning through fortunes with spectacular efficiency was genuinely impressive. Plunder, party, get robbed, get arrested. The eternal pirate cycle. 7. Those giant pirate hats. Practical sun protection, or just an ego measuring contest? Pirate captains, especially the famous ones, were notorious for sporting absolutely enormous headwear. Tricorn hats dripping with feathers, wide-brimmed behemoths, the works. Was this practical protection from the scorching tropical sun? Partially, sure. But let's be real, most of it was pure ego display. The bigger the hat, the more important you wanted everyone to think you were. It was basically walking around with a sign that screamed, "Look at me, I'm significant." You can picture them in port, not comparing their plunder but their ridiculous headgear. Mine has 4 peacock feathers and actual gold trim. Well, mine is so large it requires its own cabin. A fashion arms race so utterly absurd, it circles back around to being genuinely hilarious. 8. Walking the plank is mostly fiction. Real pirates just chucked you overboard without the drama. That dramatic scene of a trembling prisoner inching along a narrow plank over shark-infested waters while pirates jeer? Mostly invented by novelists, especially Treasure Island. While some rare instances might have occurred, the average pirate had zero patience for theatrical executions. If they wanted someone dead, they went with efficiency. A quick blade, a pistol shot, or just grabbing you and hurling you over the railing. Why waste time setting up a plank and orchestrating this whole production when you could accomplish the same goal in 3 seconds flat? The actual methods were usually far more brutal and considerably less cinematic than Hollywood suggests. The whole plank concept is basically an unnecessary complication of a very simple, very grim procedure. 9. Peak pirate stupidity, randomly deciding to attack a fully armed Navy warship. Bravery and suicidal idiocy are 2 very different things, and some pirates clearly never learned the distinction. While certain pirates were genuinely cunning, others operated on pure impulse. Sea ship, attack ship, consequences be damned. This included occasionally deciding to engage an actual military vessel packed with cannons and hundreds of trained professional soldiers. These encounters, often fueled by excessive rum or delusional confidence, typically ended predictably. Pirates getting obliterated, captured, or sent to a watery grave within minutes. It's like watching a house cat try to fight a tank. You have to respect the audacity while simultaneously marveling at the complete failure to assess basic risk. Threat evaluation was clearly not their strong suit. 10. Stedabone, the wealthy idiot who bought a pirate ship. Like it was a midlife crisis hobby. This man deserves a monument to catastrophically bad decisions. Stedabone was a rich, educated plantation owner in Barbados who apparently woke up one morning and thought becoming a pirate sounded delightful. His approach? He purchased a fully equipped ship, hired a crew, and paid them regular salaries like he was opening a floating bakery. The problem? He knew absolutely nothing about sailing, combat, or anything remotely pirate-related. He was essentially a wealthy tourist who accidentally ended up commanding a warship. The man had a personal library on board. His crew thought he was a complete joke, and eventually Blackbeard took him under his wing, probably seeing the easiest mark in Caribbean history. A masterclass in proving wealth cannot purchase competence. 11. Goats as legitimate crew members. Because every ship needs a bleeding HR representative. Forget the parrot on the shoulder cliché. Some pirate vessels had actual goats trotting around the deck as recognized members of the crew. Sure, they doubled as emergency protein when food ran low, but these weren't just future dinners. Some crews treated them almost like mascots, maybe even colleagues. Perhaps they boosted morale, offering a furry distraction from the constant threat of death, disease, and each other. Or maybe after months surrounded by the same unwashed criminals, a goat's conversational abilities started seeming pretty sophisticated. Ba probably contained more wisdom than half the drunken nonsense echoing through the ship. Picture a captain stroking his beard, seriously contemplating a goat's opinion on whether to pursue that merchant vessel. 12. Anne Bonny and Mary Red escaped execution by claiming they were pregnant. Genius move. These two weren't just famous female pirates. They were legitimately terrifying fighters during the golden age of piracy. When Calico Jack's crew got captured in 1720, the men were promptly sentenced to hang. But Anne and Mary pulled out an incredible legal maneuver. They pleaded the belly, claiming pregnancy. English law at the time wouldn't execute a pregnant woman because that meant killing an innocent unborn child. Their executions were postponed indefinitely. Whether they were actually pregnant or just incredibly quick thinkers exploiting a loophole remains historically debated. Either way, it was a spectacularly clever way to dodge the noose. Imagine the courtroom reaction. Both of you? Pregnant? At the same time? Well, this complicates things considerably. Absolutely legendary survival instincts. 13. Pirate bathroom facilities. Hang your rear. Over the railing and pray for calm seas. Let's discuss the glamorous pirate lifestyle and their luxurious sanitation arrangements. Or complete lack thereof. When nature demanded attention, your options were basically find the ship's railing, position yourself precariously over the open ocean, and hope for the best. Now imagine attempting this during a storm, or when waves are crashing, or while making direct eye contact with a particularly judgmental seagull. It's genuinely surprising more pirates weren't lost to unfortunate bathroom-related incidents at sea. Zero privacy, nothing resembling toilet paper, just you suspended over churning waters, hoping you don't become shark food. Suddenly, all those other pirate hardships seem almost manageable by comparison. The romance of the high seas indeed. 14. When food ran out, pirates resorted to chewing on leather scraps just to survive. Pirate cuisine was far from gourmet. Standard fare included hardtack biscuits capable of shattering teeth, meat so heavily salted it was basically sodium with texture, and copious amounts of rum. But when even those terrible supplies ran dry on extended voyages, desperation reached new depths. We're talking about hardened pirates gnawing on leather strips, old belts, boot soles, anything remotely chewable, just to trick their stomachs into feeling less empty. Consider the dental carnage. Most pirates already had mouths resembling demolished cemeteries, but attempting to chew sun-dried cowhide? That's culinary desperation that makes gas station sushi look appetizing. Amazing any of them had strength remaining for actual piracy after subsisting on footwear. A truly miserable existence. 15. Pirate crews actually had official compensation plans for lost body parts. This sounds completely invented, but many pirate ships operated under formal written agreements that included shockingly detailed injury payouts. Lost your right arm during a raid? Here's 600 pieces of 8. A leg? That's worth 500. An eye? 100 pieces for your trouble. It was essentially an early, deeply morbid version of workplace injury compensation, ensuring even if you got maimed, you'd receive something for your suffering. The level of organization from a group of violent outlaws is genuinely surprising. Picture the quartermaster with his ledger, calmly calculating, Thompson, you lost 2 fingers to that cannon misfire. That's 100 pieces total. Try keeping all remaining digits attached going forward. Bureaucracy among criminals is weirdly fascinating. 16. The shortest pirate raid in history. Approximately 15 minutes of pure humiliation. For every legendary Blackbeard, countless wannabes discovered they were catastrophically unsuited for piracy. Consider the poor souls who prepared for their first big score, weapons polished, intimidating speeches rehearsed, only to have everything collapse in roughly the time needed to make toast. 15 minutes of absolute incompetence. Maybe they targeted a ship way beyond their capabilities. Maybe their own vessel sprung a leak because someone forgot basic maintenance. Maybe they simply got completely lost en route. Historical accounts whisper of such spectacular failures, careers ending before properly starting. It's the pirate equivalent of confidently stepping onto a stage, immediately tripping and face-planting in front of everyone. You almost have to admire how efficiently they failed. 17. The most heartbreaking treasure discovery. Nothing but barrels of decomposing fish. Picture the anticipation. You've risked everything, fought desperately, successfully captured a merchant vessel. Hearts racing with visions of gold and gems, you throw open the cargo hold and are immediately overwhelmed by the stench of rotting seafood. Barrel after barrel of decomposing fish. That's your grand prize. A floating monument to spoiled marine life. The crushing disappointment must have been devastating. You can't spend it, you can barely breathe near it, and it's attracting every scavenging bird within miles. The kind of treasure that makes you seriously reconsider every life choice. "Well, crew," the captain probably muttered, "looks like fish soup for the foreseeable future, if anyone can stomach it." What a pathetically anticlimactic reward for fearsome pirates. 18. When rum ran out, pirates drank vinegar. Like it was fine wine. Sure, pirates loved their rum, everyone knows that. But what happened when the good stuff was gone and their water supply tasted like something died in it? They chugged vinegar. Yes, the same stuff used for salad dressing. They'd mix it with water to make it marginally less revolting, believing it would somehow prevent scurvy or other diseases. Spoiler alert, it absolutely did not work for scurvy, and probably just gave everyone raging stomach issues. Imagine the collective heartburn across an entire ship. Raise the anchor and someone finds something for this acid reflux. Drinking vinegar out of desperation? That's not just survival mode, that's a level of historical suffering that deserves recognition followed immediately by sympathy. Absolutely brutal. 19. History's dumbest escape attempt. A pirate hiding inside a water barrel. Imagine this scenario. Your ship is captured, authorities are everywhere, and your master escape plan is cramming yourself into an empty barrel and hoping nobody notices. This is hiding under the blanket logic applied to life-or-death situations. The flaws are immediately obvious. First, sailors actually use water barrels, so someone's definitely checking eventually. Second, barrels offer zero soundproofing for your panicked breathing. Third, it's just profoundly, magnificently stupid. You're completely trapped, blind, barely able to breathe, and your entire survival depends on everyone around you being even more incompetent than you are. Unsurprisingly, this brilliant strategy almost never resulted in successful escapes, just extremely embarrassed pirates being hauled out of casks while everyone watched. 20. The no pray, no pay contract. A system designed to encourage incredibly stupid decisions. This was the standard employment deal for most pirate crews. If the voyage yielded zero captured loot, absolutely nobody got paid. Not a single coin. This created an environment where desperation consistently overwhelmed rational thinking. If weeks passed without a successful capture, crews became hungry, agitated, and increasingly willing to attempt absolutely insane things. Attack that heavily armed military convoy with our barely floating dinghy? Absolutely. We haven't eaten properly in a month. The entire system practically guaranteed that monumentally reckless, borderline suicidal acts of piracy would occur regularly. When you're starving and broke, catastrophically dangerous suddenly looks like reasonable career opportunity, a contract structure that basically demanded stupidity. 21. Ultimate pirate audacity, stealing an entire ship. while the captain slept peacefully below. Some pirate crews weren't just violent criminals, they were masters of breathtaking nerve. Historical accounts exist of pirates silently boarding merchant vessels, quietly neutralizing the minimal night watch, and sailing away with the entire ship while the captain and most crew snoozed in their bunks, completely unaware. Imagine that captain the next morning. He stretches, yawns, notices something feels strange. Then the horrifying realization dawns. His ship is gone, replaced by empty ocean and possibly distant pirate laughter echoing across the waves. The negligence required from the original crew is almost as impressive as the pirates' audacity. That's not simple theft. That's stealing someone's entire floating world while they dreamed peacefully. 22. Pirate tattoo. Quality so horrifically bad. They served as permanent punishment. Tattoos were huge in pirate and sailor culture, marking experiences, loyalties, or just looking intimidating. But quality control was essentially non-existent. We're not discussing artistic masterpieces here. We're talking crude inkings applied by drunk colleagues using questionable needles and prayer. Picture crooked anchors, lovers' names spelled catastrophically wrong, and mermaids that resembled bloated sea mammals having a bad day. Some of these tattoos were so embarrassingly terrible, they functioned as permanent reminders of spectacularly poor decisions made while completely intoxicated. The kind of body art that makes you want to wear long sleeves forever, even in scorching tropical heat. Walking regret etched into skin. 23. Twisted pirate entertainment, forcing captured musicians to play while their ship sank. Pirates possessed notoriously dark senses of humor, sometimes crossing into genuinely disturbing territory. One particularly twisted form of amusement involved capturing a ship and forcing any musicians aboard to play cheerful tunes while their own vessel was being looted, torched, or sunk around them. Imagine being a violinist in that situation. Your ship is literally sinking, flames everywhere, pirates stealing everything not bolted down, and someone has a sword pointed at you demanding a lively dance number. It's psychological cruelty so pointlessly malevolent, it almost feels like cartoon villainy. Not exactly entertaining for the poor musicians literally providing the soundtrack to their own destruction. Taking dark humor to genuinely horrifying extremes. 24. Pirate medicine. Treating syphilis by rubbing toxic. Mercury all over your body. Life at sea was brutal and disease was everywhere. Syphilis ran rampant among pirates. The cutting-edge medical solution of the era? Mercury. Not swallowed, no. They'd smear mercury-based ointments directly onto affected areas. The theory, presumably, was that this toxic heavy metal would somehow combat the infection. Reality? Mercury poisoning causing teeth falling out, kidney destruction, severe neurological damage, and eventual agonizing death. So you might possibly address the syphilis, but you'd likely go completely insane and die anyway from the cure. It's a perfect example of the treatment being monumentally worse than the disease itself. Full marks for trying, 0 marks for basic medical sense. 25. Some pirates got marooned. Not for crimes, but simply for being spectacularly lazy. Marooning was a standard punishment for pirates who violated the ship's code, usually for cowardice, stealing from crewmates, or attempted mutiny. They'd be abandoned on some deserted island with minimal supplies and maybe one bullet. But sometimes pirates got themselves marooned for far less dramatic reasons. Being unbelievably, impressively lazy. Picture a pirate so committed to avoiding any physical effort, so dedicated to doing absolutely nothing, that his crewmates eventually just gave up. That's it. You're staying here with the coconuts. Your laziness has defeated us. It's a remarkably pathetic way to end a pirating career, essentially getting fired from being a criminal because you couldn't be bothered to actually commit crimes. Almost admirable dedication to sloth. 26. Your ship's doctor was probably just the cook, holding a rusty saw and guessing wildly. Medical treatment aboard pirate vessels was, charitably speaking, nightmarish. Serious injuries meant your best hope was often the ship's cook, who somehow also served as surgeon. His primary instrument? A saw, rarely cleaned. His primary qualification? Enthusiasm rather than any actual medical training. Amputation was the default solution for basically anything worse than a minor cut, performed without anesthesia, obviously. Survival odds were terrible, and infection odds afterward were even worse. You'd probably look at a festering wound and think, I'll just ignore this and hope it resolves itself. Modern healthcare complaints seem utterly trivial by comparison. Does this look infected? Let's ask the guy who just made our questionable dinner. 27. The worst trade deal ever. Exchanging valuable plunder for one annoying parrot. Pirates adored exotic pets, parrots especially. But sometimes this affection led to financially catastrophic decisions. Tales exist, possibly exaggerated but wonderfully absurd, of pirates making horrendous trades, exchanging significant captured cargo like silks, spices, maybe silver, for a single colorful, squawking bird. Imagine the quartermaster's reaction. You traded a cannon and several rum barrels for that noisy feathered disaster? It's the kind of decision suggesting the rum had permanently damaged their judgment. But look, crew, the captain might defend. He can say pieces of 8. That's valuable, right? Absolutely wrong, Captain. Monumentally, embarrassingly wrong. The parrot was not worth the cannon. 28. The pirate utopia of Libertalia. An anarchist paradise run by violent criminals. What could go wrong? Legend tells of Captain Missen's grand scheme to establish a utopian pirate colony called Libertalia, supposedly somewhere in Madagascar. The vision? A society without private property, without slavery, with complete freedom and democratic governance, all administered by pirates. Actual pirates, hardened criminals, murderers, and professional thieves. Let that concept fully sink in. An anarchist paradise populated entirely by people whose careers centered on violently ignoring rules and taking other people's possessions. It's like expecting hungry wolves to successfully operate a vegetarian cafe. While historians debate whether it actually existed, the sheer magnificent absurdity of the idea is undeniable. Their first community meeting probably ended in a knife fight over dinner. Bless their hopelessly idealistic delusions. 29. Blackbeard. Literally set his own face on fire for intimidation purposes. Edward Teach, the infamous Blackbeard, wasn't merely a fearsome pirate. He was a theatrical genius of psychological terror with questionable personal safety judgment. To cultivate his demonic reputation, he'd weave hemp cords soaked in saltpeter into his enormous beard and beneath his hat. Then, before battles, he'd ignite them. He'd charge into combat surrounded by smoke and sparks, looking like a genuine demon ascending from hell itself. Absolutely terrifying? Undeniably. Incredibly dangerous and stupid for his own well-being? Completely. One unfortunate breeze, one wayward spark, and his entire face could have become a spectacular fireball. It's miraculous he didn't accidentally immolate himself regularly. That's some serious commitment to personal branding. 30. Many pirate ships had more musicians than weapons. Priorities, right? What's truly essential when you're supposed to be a terrifying ocean menace? Overwhelming firepower to defeat enemies? Or an excellent band to keep spirits high before you potentially die? For numerous pirate crews, bafflingly, the answer was the latter. It was surprisingly common for pirate ships to maintain robust musical crews, fiddlers, drummers, maybe some questionable horn players. They believed music was crucial for morale during tedious voyages, and presumably for providing dramatic atmosphere during raids. Imagine the captain's commands. Load the cannons, and someone get Jenkins on that fiddle. This attack needs proper accompaniment. Hardened criminals genuinely prioritizing good tunes over additional weapons that might actually save their lives. Their decision-making was certainly unique. 31. Some pirates retired from plundering to become absolutely terrible stage actors. So what becomes of a pirate who decides the criminal life is over? Some disappeared quietly, some met the hangman. but a few in truly bewildering career transitions, apparently attempted theatrical careers. Picture a weathered, rum-seasoned pirate, accustomed to screaming threats and commanding battles, now attempting to deliver dramatic monologues on a creaky wooden stage. The transition from "prepare to be boarded" to "alas poor Yorick" was likely not graceful. You can imagine the reviews. Captain Bloodworth brought considerable intensity to Hamlet, though his habit of threatening audience members with props proved somewhat concerning. A career change so unexpected it's the perfect absurd conclusion to a life of maritime chaos. Truly remarkable. 32. Pirate navigation, essentially following seagulls and hoping for the best. We imagine pirates as expert sailors, masterfully traversing vast oceans with precision. Reality check. Some of them navigated about as well as a confused puppy with a map. While experienced captains certainly possess genuine skills, many less competent pirate crews would set sail with shocking deficiencies in proper navigation equipment or knowledge. Their actual strategy often amounted to follow that coastline somewhere, head toward that interesting-looking cloud formation, or that seagull seems confident about something. That any of them ever located their intended targets, let alone mythical treasure islands, demonstrates less about their abilities and more about the universe's random kindness. "Are we anywhere close?" was probably asked desperately and constantly. 32 facts proving pirates were basically chaotic idiots who accidentally became legends. Now here's the real question. You're a pirate captain. Your crew just voted to fire you mid-battle. What's your next move? Drop your answer below. Best response gets pinned. Smash that like if you learned something ridiculous today, and subscribe so you don't miss the next dose of historical insanity.